Hello, everyone, and welcome to Civic Platform. This is your host, Zuher Almusre. Obay Khan, the Minister of Sport, Culture, and Heritage in Manitoba, held a virtual press conference with the ethnic media in Manitoba to announce $50 million in funding for more than 400 community art, culture, and sport projects as part of Budget 2023 Historic Help for Manitobans. So today we have many questions for the minister, and we hope we find the complete answer from him. So let's find more details from this new episode from Civic Platform.
Morning. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today for my first, and I think the province's first, ethno press conference. As many of you know me personally, you know that I'm very passionate about this portfolio and everything we're doing here with the government. And I think it's a priority for our government to ensure that everyone can hear directly from not only the government, but also the minister responsible for sport, culture, and heritage. So it's a great honor for me to be here today. We will be discussing the ACSE grant, which was a historic investment by our province and our Premier, Heather Stephenson, coming out of the pandemic. Realizing and seeing that art, sport, and culture organizations needed some help and some support. So historic investment of $100 million that was originally supposed to span over 3 years, which was now compressed down to 2 years because the demand was so high. The amount of applications we had was so much that we felt like we need to get the money out immediately. So we shortened the first intake, or we increased the first intake to $50 million, which we just announced last week, and another $50 million to flow later this year as well, which the intake is open on. We are encouraging everyone to reapply again. All the information is available online under Art, Culture, and Sport in Community Fund. Just recap, the deadline is coming up very fast again. So it's April 17th for the small cap special initiative and April 24th for the large cap. With that being said, I'm sure you're all very familiar with this grant program and everything our government is doing. So without me talking for hours on end, I will open it up for questions from anyone online. And again, I do thank everyone for coming. This is really important. And I'm really excited to have this dialogue with everyone online, one-on-one, as the minister responsible for sport, culture, and heritage. So with that, I will conclude my opening remarks, and I look forward to hearing some questions from you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Abhi, Mr. Khan. How are you today?
Good morning, Ron. Thank you very much.
Perfect. This is something that actually I was talking to the former minister about. There was an initiative, and you're fairly familiar with it. The Winnipeg Jets this year hosted several cultural sports initiatives or sports nights, one being Filipino Heritage Night and the other one being South Asian Heritage Night. With that new initiative, there are sort of discussions within the Filipino and South Asian communities to look at sort of growing hockey in Manitoba. However, under the current fund, it's only open to organizations that have been in operation for at least 1 year. Since this is a new initiative for the many Filipinos and South Asian individuals such as myself that are passionate about hockey, is there another alternative where community groups can access funds that are fairly brand new?
Yeah, great question, Ron, and nice to, I guess, see you or hear your voice. We go back decades, I'd say, in this province. And I do want to take a second and talk about the South Asian game and the Filipino game and the other special nights that the True North and the Winnipeg Jets have. It was great for the team, the city, the province, national exposure. I went out to all those games. It was a ton of fun to see just the pride of our cultures and our communities come out and really embrace hockey, which historically has been really a non-ethno-diverse sport. But we see as Manitoba and Canada is growing, more and more people are coming out and having fun and enjoying the game. So it was a great night to see that, and I hope to see many, many more in the future, and also expanding that offering to other other communities that might want to have their culture and heritage showcased on that special event, I could go for some haggis at Canada Life Centre. In regards to your question, Ron, I think it's a great question and a valid point you make that, this was a first time the government has done something like this. So, we're initially working on a lot of the kinks, a lot of, how to flow this money to the ethnocultural groups that need that money. So it was a first attempt at it. There has been modifications for the second intake now, where the second intake is really more specific on the program requirement as opposed to the organization. So if the program is rooted in art, culture, or sport, they're eligible to apply. Now, there still is some guidelines on, how long they've been operating with. And we have had some discussions with this where we encourage organizations or groups that want to do events that might not meet one or two of the criteria, such as time, is to maybe partner up with another group that is doing that. So maybe there's an opportunity for a South Asian community group to partner up with another non-for-profit that wants to run that event, and maybe together they can offer under the special initiative program, I think would be a really good fit for that, where they can offer that special initiative of including a more diverse group and community in that event. So there are ways to look at that. There are ways to, hopefully get that funding through. This is something that we can definitely take away and look at. And, hopefully next year, if there's an opportunity to do something as well, we can take that in mind.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Hi, everyone. I don't have a question, but I do have a nice comments. And thank you to the government of Manitoba and the Premier, our Honorable Heather Stephenson, for supporting the Polish community in the last set of grants that was announced last August. So thank you so much. And this funding will help upgrade the facility that will serve Polish community, and not only the Polish community, but other communities as well, because that we call that a Polish center. So Minister and the government, thank you so much for your wonderful support, and that be used well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marion, for your comments on that, and I do thank the Premier almost on a daily basis for opening up this fund and starting this fund. This is something, as I mentioned, historic. It's never been done before in the history of Manitoba, and I had the honor of attending a FPT, Federal Provincial Territorial Conference, where I got to meet other minister of sport or culture and heritage, and we discussed this. And when I did tell them that this is what we're doing as a government, they were all shocked and surprised and blown away by the initiative our government is taking. So it's great that we were able to do this. As I look across the funding that's flowed through this program, I believe just a quick tally, over $2 million, $2.5 million roughly, to just ethno-specific groups that fall within this grant. And, and the Polish community I see here has a couple applications through. So it's just another way our government takes a lot of pride in showcasing what Manitoba has to offer. So thank you very much, Marion, for your kind comments. I will make sure to pass them along to the Premier as well.
Thank you very much. And also like to invite you to Polish Radio Polonia, CKJS, for a greeting, Easter greetings, if you can, on April the 2nd, between 2:30 and 4:30. You've been in the studio already. So I'd like to invite you, if you can, please come over to the studio, or we can contact you over the messenger.
Awesome. I will definitely flag that with my staff here. They're sitting here. We'll make a note of that. I do have one requirement, though, is that you have pierogies for me when I come, as I need to get ready for. I need to get ready for Folklorama. We're gonna have a pierogi eating contest, so I need to make sure there. And another great way to really showcase and love what all our diverse communities have to offer.
Of course, we'll have that for you. Another problem. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I just wondered, I saw the list of groups that had received money, and I know the High Folk Ensemble received money in the Jewish community. Were there any others that applied in the first intake, or any others that are applying in the second intake that you know of?
Sorry, Ron, are you referring to Jewish communities in specific?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't, we had almost 800 applications come in through that, the first intake of it. So I'm sure there are probably other applications in there, but I'm not 100% sure. We are encouraging everyone to reapply because there were so many applications, and the funding was only, it was originally $34 million. Now government reacted to increase it to 50, but even with $50 million, there was over $200 million in asks. So, unfortunately, some of them didn't meet criteria, some of them weren't ready, but some of them were still good applications that unfortunately had to be declined. Now, we are encouraging them to reapply in the second intake, where again, there's another $50 million. So we look forward to reviewing those applications as they come in. Anyone, again, if they were declined in the first one, please apply in the second one. You can reach out to the department as well. We are here as a resource to help people with their applications because they may have questions. So, I encourage people to email the department, call the department, ask for questions, ask for help before you submit on our deadlines. And I look forward to reviewing those applications as they come in. And I hope we get more and more. I hope we get over 1,000 this time, because that means there's just such a demand out there for it. And government, we're proud to support that.
Thank you for this honor given to us. I will first like to commend the Manitoba government for this great initiative, and also to commend these sitting, bringing in ethnocultural media and community that are doing things to bring our diversity into display. My questions are borders around what you said just the last time. Are there going to be help from the government to help new organizations? Because there are higher costs associated with hosting events for newer organizations compared to the well-established ones. Will there be an amendment to the eligibility criteria for new or newer organizations to access more funds and support on progressive plans? That's one question. Something attaching to it also, the world is still not totally off COVID. There are events and plans that have been done virtually, and that needs some kind of putting in place equipment for transmitting programs that are going to be virtual. And this needs you putting in money into cameras, into computers and things like that. Do you factor that also into your new amendment coming into this funding? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator, for the question, Adayu. So in regards to the support for new organizations, I guess I'll touch on that one first. So our department is here to help with new organizations with their application and funding request. So I encourage people to reach out. I do understand for a new organization, it might be a little challenging or tough to do the application, to get that in. I want to remind, there are 3 streams of applications. So there's the community celebration one, which is up to $5,000. That deadline's not till June 15th. There is a special initiative and small capital one, which is up to $25,000, 100% funded by the government. So that's a really unique one, which I think may address some of the concerns you had, where it comes to special initiatives, something that hasn't been done before, coming out of COVID. Supports with that could be available in the special initiative stream, and also the small capital for purchases up to $25,000 to support these groups in getting going, especially coming out of the pandemic, in any of the art, culture, or sport streams. So there are those resources there. There are those application guidelines online. It is quite an extensive document, I guess, that does talk about requirements and needs, but there is some, interpretation in there as well that could be done through the department. So I encourage any organization that has any questions, don't automatically assume it's approved, and don't automatically assume that a purchase is going to be disapproved. Contact the department. Let's see how we can work together to support our groups, because that's what this grant is all about. This grant is all about supporting groups that might need that assistance, and especially in the second stream as well. Now that I've been the ministry here for a little while, I'm starting to understand the portfolio better, and especially how this grant works. So please reach out. Tell your groups, your organizations you work with, to take a look online. We do have an FAQ page online as well that will answer some of those questions, and the guidelines are pretty detailed on what is eligible, what is not eligible. But if you have any questions, reach out. Our government is here to support you and your organizations.
My question, I am from Navneet Kaur from Navsver newspaper. It's a Punjabi newspaper and TV channel. So my question is similar with the Ron, like if we talk about the cricket, right? Our kids are so want to play this game, and our families, and we are doing on our behalf. But is there any planning from the government side that they are doing such South Asian games? Or this is my question, and anything you can do for this, please?
Sat Sri Akal, Navneet, thank you very much for the question this morning. Yeah, all sports in this government, I want to be very clear that our government is supportive of all sports, all cultures. So if there is an application in a different sport, I mean, maybe even kabaddi, if they want to try
Yes.
playing kabaddi. I was attended the
Absolutely.
Maples tournament last year, the two of them. And there's an opportunity maybe where the applications can come in. Unfortunately, if we don't get the applications that come in, then we can't fund projects at random. So, we encourage groups to apply for whatever range of events, cultural activities, art, exhibits, or inclusive community events they want to do, sporting events, to apply for that. And as long as they meet the guidelines, the criteria, they will be eligible for funding within this program. I know there was, to my mind, again, there was almost 800 applications that came in and 402 that were approved. So it's a lot of information, but I do know there was a cricket application ground that was approved, I believe in the $300,000 range for a project this year for a cricket ground.
Thank
So
you
that's
so much.
exciting. Our government is supporting these sports that traditionally aren't, seen as maybe Canadian sports, but now with our growing community, our government is proud to support a $300,000 investment in a community cricket facility. And we encourage other applications to come through for that. I would also remind people that, really in our communities, that the organizations can apply for a community celebration and a special initiative. These are really important to increase community awareness and attendance at these programs. So as you mentioned, Navneet, you want to have more people exposed to cricket and playing cricket and have our kids playing cricket. Well, that's a great stream that this government made up in the community celebration and the special initiative, where maybe there's opportunity to apply for that to increase that exposure. So I believe that touches on your points and your concerns about growing the different type of sports within this Manitoba.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Minister. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Although I will say I did not see an application for kabaddi, so I think we should encourage some groups to maybe get an application in for that one. And if you want, maybe the minister can participate in a friendly match.
Yes, absolutely. Most welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we will invite you definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Zuher Almusre. I am a community journalist for You Multicultural channel here in Winnipeg. So first of all, I want to ask to thank all the reporters and the media people. They ask all my questions and they didn't make me anything to left. But like just a follow-up, sir, when you said like 800 application and like some people, they get rejected. So from my community, from the Arabic community, they said, like, we don't know why we get rejected. First of all, like why they get like reject, and they want to understand what mistake they did during the applying. And they said all the opportunities, it goes for like the biggest organization who knows English very well. They know all the details through the government. So how we can make our applications like powerful to get accept. What mistakes we do, we don't understand. So how you can help them to avoid this kind of mistakes?
Yeah, Zuher, great question, and thank you very much. And I thank all the other journalists for the great questions as well. When it comes to that concern, I really recommend and I encourage organizations to please reach out to the department. I cannot say that enough. Is if you have questions with the application, you have questions or concerns, please reach out to us. We are there to help you. There was an overwhelming number of applications that came in, so it might take some time, but we are here to help you through that process. I'm happy to see here that we did approve the Arab Canadian Association. They had asked for $24,900, and we did approve the $24,900 for that application. There are a lot of smaller organizations that did apply. I see here the Spolenka Ukrainian $5,000, $2,000 for a music association. So there were a lot of small capital special initiative projects. The large projects, there was actually only 3 of them actually, or two two of them that I see out of all the applications within this $2.5 million. So there are a lot of smaller organizations that applied. There are a lot of smaller funds that were approved. I recommend that people reach out. In regards to why they were rejected, again, with 800 applications, it's a lot, but I encourage them to reach out and have some conversation on why we were rejected or why they were rejected, and we can get them answers on that. Some simple things to keep in mind as we go back to our communities is a couple of the basic criteria we really encourage people to make sure they have. Number one is that are they a nonprofit organization, and have they been registered for a year? To Mr. Ron Cantaveras' question earlier, if they're not registered for a year, we encourage them to maybe seek a partnership with someone who has been registered and look at doing maybe a special initiative through them. So number one, are they incorporated, non-for-profit is one. Number two is if they are requiring matching funds, so if the application has gone over $25,000, do they have the matching funds? So that's very important that it's a 50-50 split. So if an organization asks for $100,000 from the grant, they must have $100,000 of matching funds. So that's a basic criteria, and a lot of applications were unfortunately declined because of that inability to have matching funds. Special initiative, is it a special initiative? Is this something that's never been done before and that we're trying to do? It is not for ongoing costs. So, we need to be really clear in the criteria online. Zuher, if we can take a look, is, what are the criteria required for this? There are some yeses and there are some nos. The big one is it's not for ongoing expenses. So I think once you work through that, get an idea of what you want, you meet a couple of the basic criteria, fill in the application, and then send it to the department ahead of the deadline. I'd recommend you send it in well in advance of the deadline, at least a week in advance, just with the volume of applications we do have coming in, and reach out for some questions. Again, the small capital special initiative is on April 17th, and the large capital is on April 24th. So I encourage, get the application done as early as possible, meet with your board and your community, send that in, and then we can reach back and work with the community on that. Because again, the purpose of this program is not to decline applicants, it's to support applicants. And that's why we've increased it to $50 million. So I look forward to seeing many more applications come in from all communities, but as well from the whether it be the Arab or Palestinian community or African community, Filipino community, all communities. We really encourage more applications to come in.
I do have a follow-up question, sir, if you allowed me.
Of course.
People, when they get rejected for the first time, they get hesitate to apply one more time. They said we tried, this is not for us, and it's too complicated, and they hesitate also to ask questions. So what's your word to encourage these people to don't give up and try one more time? Maybe that time your opportunity is not was perfect time, but you have still another time to try.
Yeah, that again, another very fair question, and some feedback that we do get from ethno-diverse communities, right? Is they'll apply once, they get rejected, and then they get gun shy or scared, and they don't want to do it again. I really encourage them to apply again. If you don't succeed at first, you have to try again. You have to try again, you have to try again. You have to keep trying to push this initiative forward. And within the letters, depending on what the criteria or parameters were, you may be sent a letter that says, unfortunately, due to the volume of applications, we had to decline. Even some good applications got declined. So if an application came in, there's only $50 million. And I said there's over $200 million in asks came in. So, sadly, some good applications had to be rejected, and that's the way some grant processes work. So we encourage them to apply again. If there was missing information or, you didn't meet a certain criteria, then, that would be outlined and you can have some conversation with the department. So, part of my job is to get the message out, and I've been very vocal on that on social media and the media, encouraging people to reapply if they got declined. And again, all of you here today, I really appreciate you all being here so that you can go back to organizations and communities and tell them to reapply. We spoke to the minister says reapply, even if you got declined, it's okay to reapply, and if you don't get it at first, try again. You might get it on the second intake, and I hope that's what they will take away.
Thank you very much.
And we do encourage, unfortunately, administration paperwork, and and I don't want to sit here and sound like it's not a lot of work to do an application. We understand it's a fair amount of work that goes into that, and I thank everyone for doing that application process. And I do understand also the frustration that comes in with being declined of a grant, and you sit there saying, well, we don't want to do the whole process again. So what I recommend is, if you had the first one in, contact them. It might be a couple tweaks here and there that you simply need to go, or maybe we're just missing one or two pieces of information. So, the second application might be a lot simpler for you to do. So, I do encourage people to do it again. And thank you for your kind comments. And I'm, really proud of what our government is doing, especially with this grant. When I'm out and about traveling in all the communities and people get this grant, and for the first time, they're receiving funding over a couple $1,000s. I mean, historically, a lot of ethnocultural groups are used to receiving $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and now they're receiving, $280,000, $31,000, $20,000, $88,000 for the Japanese Cultural Center. Like, these are significant investments our government is making in, supporting our ethnocultural community as an integral part of Manitoba's tapestry that makes us so unique and across the world.
Thanks for the quick follow-up question. It's not so much more a question, but more so a statement. And with your department being available, I'm also in discussions with leaders in the Filipino community. The recommendation or thought was, if there's availability for the department to be available, is there an opportunity for the department to host a webinar so that community leaders can understand directly, in the same way that we're doing here, what sort of the programs are, and maybe there might be tips and tricks and hacks that they can use for their applications, as opposed to 100 organizations calling your department. You put together a webinar and invite all the people that were declined and say, for those people that have questions and would like to get more information about their applications, jump on this call and we can help figure that out. Right. Just as a recommendation from a lot of the organizations that I talked to in the last week.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good idea, Ron. And it's such a good idea. I think I might just steal that and say that's my idea now. So, no,
this is recorded.
Really good. I think we will definitely take that away. I can see my department nodding their head saying that's a great idea. So we will look into that. And again, we're really going to rely on everyone on this call in your communities to spread the word, right? Through your social media channels, through your Facebook. If we do something like that, which I think sounds like a really good idea based on timing and all the questions we may have, maybe we can do a 10-minute PowerPoint on here are the main criteria, here were the main things why applications were rejected, here are some things you have to make sure you get done, and then we open it up for some questions. So I think that's a really good idea, Ron. I really appreciate that, and stay tuned for an update on that.
Perfect. Thanks, Avi.
Thank you.
And the follow-up to it is just something also that I want to add with Zuher. You asked a very, very important question as regard language barrier. I don't know, maybe the minister got it right. You were talking about, the technicality, the hardship when it comes to translating and getting the English translation. Your people might not, a lot of people do not have that kind of understanding. So, after this meeting, I will implore the department to find a way to send that 10, criteria. These are the things. And each one of us could go back, translate it into Arab, find a way to communicate, because a lot of organizations and the people handling them are volunteers, and they might still be new immigrants, still trying to move from what they speak to English. So we should use this medium to find a way to translate and help our community to get access to this fund. That will be all for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayodele, for that comment and suggestion, and echoing Ron's idea, which is now my idea. So I agree with you. I think the language barrier, it might be a barrier for communities and organizations for applying. So, with that, our department, will venture to look at the language in that document and see if there's a way to make that more accessible for everyone. And this really, part of this comes down to organizations, like you said as well, like communicating within your community, within your organizations on supports and language. But again, if people do have questions, we really encourage them to reach out to the department for those questions as well, and we can hopefully assist with that. But this is an ongoing process. It's the first time we're doing this grant. This is now the second intake, and hopefully there'll be many more in the future, as this is something that we've heard loud and clear throughout the province of Manitoba that people need this support. And I'm proud and honored, and I can honestly say, sitting here as the Minister of Sport, Culture and Heritage, I'm so proud of our government for doing this. So I want to thank everyone for coming out. I know we are running here on time. I cannot express to you how much this means to me to have such a large turnout for the first ethno press conference that we are having like this scale. And we will have more going forward on various topics, on various announcements we're making. So please reach out, join those, spread the word, get more and more people involved. As your minister here at Sport, Culture and Heritage, and within this government under our Premier Heather Stephenson, we are committed to working with all groups within Manitoba. So I thank you all for your time today and your great questions. And I look forward to meeting a lot of you. A lot of you I've already met, and I look forward to meeting many more of you in the near future.
We reached the end of our episode. Thank you for watching. If you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe, and wait for a new episode from Civic Platform.